So let's get started. This is the answer key for the week 1 spiral review. And remember that week 1, week 2, and week 3, the questions are going to be the same, but you'll have different numbers. So if you get stuck on week 2 or week 3, you can come back to this video and look at how the problem was solved during week 1 to help you with the other weeks. So let's start with problem 1. What is the volume of this figure? So we've got this rectangular prism, or this box, and we've got a length of 7, a width of 2, and a height of 3. So if I want to find the volume of that, I'm going to use the formula length times width times height. So I'm going to multiply the length, which we remember from the page was 7, the width, which was 2, and the height, which was 3. So I'm going to do 7 times 2 times 3. I'm going to start by doing 7 times 2, which is 14. And then I'll do 14 times 3, which I don't know off the top of my head, so I'll work that out. 4 times 3 is 12. I carry the 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4, which means that gives me 42. So then my final answer is 42. And then the units are centimeters. So that means my answer will be 42 centimeters, and it's going to be cubed because we're talking about volume. All right, so let's go to question number 2. So question 2 says, which of the following is true? A, 4.12 rounded to the nearest tenth is 4.2. 7.28 rounded to the nearest tenth is 7.3. 4.55 rounded to the nearest whole number is 4, or 9.462 rounded to the nearest hundredth is 9.47. And what you want to do is you want to look and see what each one is asking you to round to. And so A is asking us to round 4.12 to the nearest 10. So I'm going to work that out. I'm going to take 4.12 and round it to the nearest tenth. Well, I know the 1 is in the tenths place. I'm going to look at the number behind it to see if the 1 should go up or stay the same. Well, because it's a 2, and we know anything that is 4 or less means the number stays the same, that 1 is going to stay a 1, and I keep what's in front and I drop what's behind. So 4.12 rounded to the nearest tenth is 4.1. Well, my question, or my answer choice, said it would be rounded to the nearest tenth, and it would be 4.2. So that means no, this is not true. So I need to look at B. So when I look at B, I see 7.28 rounded to the nearest tenth is 7.3. So now I'm going to come back again, and I'm going to do 7.28 rounded to the nearest tenth, and I'm going to see, does it give me 7.3? So again, I'm going to circle the number in the tenths place, which is the 2. Then I'm going to look behind it. The 8 tells the 2 to actually go up, because anything 5 or more means that the number should round up. So 2 is going to round up to a 3. I'm going to keep the numbers that are in front. I no longer need the numbers that are behind. And so B says that 7.28 rounded to the nearest tenth is 7.3, which means that yes, this is true. So my answer would be B. I don't need to work out C and D because I know they're already not going to be true because I already found my one that's true. So now I'm going to question number 3. All right, question number 3 is kind of a long one. Hopefully it's all in the screen. It said, Matthew displays baseball caps on shelves at a store. Matthew has 27 boxes of caps. Each box contains 45 caps. There are 12 boxes of red caps, 4 boxes of green caps, and 11 boxes of blue caps. How many caps are red or blue? So I want to start by looking at what is my question asking me. And it's asking me how many caps are red or blue. So I only want to know about the red caps and the blue one, which means I don't need this information here about the green caps because it's not asking me about green. I only need to know what's important about the blue. So I know that each box has 45 caps. That's important. And I also know I've got 12 boxes of red and 11 boxes of blue. So it doesn't matter whether it's a red box or a blue box because it says each box has 45 caps. If it's a red box, it's got 45 caps. If it's a blue box, it's got 45 caps in it. So I first need to figure out, well, how many red caps do I have if I have 12 boxes of that? Which means I'm going to have to do some repeat addition or some multiplication because I got 12 boxes of red and there's 45 in each. So I'm going to multiply 45 times 12. And then I have 11 boxes of blue, and there's 45 in each. So I'm going to then multiply 45 times 11. And then they want to know how many are red or blue. So that means I need to figure out the total together. So let's start by multiplying 45 times 12. So I'm going to do 45 times 12. I'm using the standard algorithm. I know some of you do the area model method, and that's fine. I'll do the area model for the blue caps, just so you can see both ways. So I got 2 times 5, which gives me 10, carry the 1. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. I am done with the 2. I now need to multiply the 1 times everything on top, but 1 is in the tens place, so I need to put a placeholder in the ones place. 1 times 5 gives me 5, 1 times 4 gives me 4, and now I can add those up. 9 plus 5 is 14. So that means I have 540 red caps. The next thing I want to do is do my blue caps. And like I said, I know some of you use the area model, and there are 11 boxes of blue. So I know there's 11 boxes of blue, so I'm going to put that in its expanded form. And then I'm going to multiply 40 times 10. Well, 4 times 1 is 4, and then I got 2 zeros. Then 5 times 1 is 5, and I got 1 0. 40 times 1 would be 40, and then 5 times 1 is 5. And I'm going to add all those up. So I got 400 plus 50 plus 40 plus 5. And I want to line everything up neatly. And that gives me 9, and that gives me 4. So then this is my blue. But I'm not done yet because I have to add them up to get my final total. So I need to add 540 plus 495. So 540 plus 495. 5 plus 0 gives me 5. 9 plus 4 gives me 13. Carry the 1. 5 plus 4 is 9. Plus 1 is 10. And so that means I have 1,035 total red or blue caps. So when I come back up front, I'm looking for my answer choice, and I see that it's answer choice C. So that means my final answer is C. All right, so let's go to number 4. All right, number 4, the question says 12 divided into 804. So I'm going to be doing some long division here. So for me, long division works best if I give myself lots of space. So I'm dividing 12 into 804. So now I'm going to start by saying, can 12 go into 8? Well, because 8 is smaller than 12, it can't. So now I'm going to go over, and I'm going to put a placeholder above the 8. So now I'm going to say, well, can 12 go into 80? Well, 80 is bigger than 12, which means 12 can go into 80. The question is, how many times? How many groups of 12 can I get out of 80? So I'm going to take 12 and say, well, what if I have 6 in each group? Well, that's going to give me 72. And then, well, what if I have 7 in each group? That's going to give me 84, which is too big. So that means I can only put 6 in each group. So I'm going to put a 6 up here. And then 6 times 12 is 72. I subtract, and I get 8. And then I bring down the 4. And now I'm going to start over. So now I'm dividing 12 into 84. 12 goes into 84. I already found it goes in there 7 times. And then 7 times 12 is 84. Subtract. And I get 0, which means I have no remainder. So my answer is simply 67. All right, so let's look at number 5. Number 5 said, Carl earned $142.37 this month running errands for his uncle's business. If he needs to pay $38.81 for a bill, how much does he have left to spend? So I'm looking to see how much does he have left to spend, which means I'm looking to see how much money he has after he pays his bill. And if he's paying a bill, that means the money is coming out of the money that he earned. So I'm going to have to use subtraction. So I know that he earned $142.37, and I know that he's got to pay $38.81. So I'm going to write 142.37, which is the cost of how much money he earned, and then I'm subtracting $38.81 from that. And I'm making sure that I lined up my decimal when I set my problem up, because with decimals you have to line them up before you can subtract them. So 7 minus 1 gives me 6. I can't take 8 from 3, so I'm going to borrow from the 2. It becomes a 1, and this becomes 13. 13 minus 8 is 5. I bring down my decimal. Then I can't take 8 from 1, so I'm going to borrow. And then 1 becomes an 11, and that becomes 3. 3 minus 3 is 0, and then 1 minus 0 is 1, which means he has left $103.56 to spend. So he's got quite a little bit of money left. All right, number 6. There were 5 pizzas at the pizza party for 2 families. Caroline's family ate 1 3/8 pizzas. Julia's family ate 1 2/6 pizzas. What is the closest estimate of how much pizza was left? So I'm trying to find how much pizza was left, but I'm doing an estimate, which means I don't need the exact amount. I'm just estimating. So now I'm trying to see, about how much pizza did each person's family eat? Well, Caroline's family ate 1 3/8. So let's do Caroline's family. So we're going to use a C for her. And so her family ate 1 3/8. I'm going to draw a picture. So I got 1 whole pizza. And I'm going to break this into eighths. And they ate 3/8. So when I look at my picture, if I'm estimating, that would mean they ate about 1 1/2. So they ate almost 1 1/2 pizzas, her family did. So now I'm looking at Julie's family. And her family ate 1 2/6 pizzas. So now I'm going to look at her family. So we're going to do Julia's. And her family ate 1 2/6. So again, I'm going to draw a picture. So they ate 1 whole pizza and then 2/6 of another pizza. So 1 2/6 of another. And again, they almost ate 1 1/2. And so 1 1/2 plus another 1 1/2 would give me a total of 3. So that means together they ate about 3 pizzas. But the question didn't ask how many they ate. The question asked about how much pizza was left. And we have to remember we started with 5. So if we started with 5 and then the 2 families ate about 3 pizzas, that means we have 2 pizzas left. So be very careful to make sure that you only answer the question about what was left. So the answer to this one is B, that they had 2 pizzas left, because 5 minus 3 equals 2. All right, so now let's go to question number 7. All right. Sue had 2 dozen eggs. She used 3/4 in her baking. How many eggs did Sue use? So she had 2 dozen eggs. And the question you have to ask yourself is, well, what's a dozen? Well, a dozen is 12. So if she had 2 dozen, we know that that actually means that there are 24 eggs. She used 3/4 of them in her baking. And we want to know how many eggs did she use. So she used 3/4 of that. We've got to figure out, well, what is 3/4 of 24? So because I'm trying to get a fractional amount of something else, I'm going to actually have to multiply. So I'm going to come over here and I do my multiplication. So I got 24 eggs and I'm multiplying that by 3/4. So in elementary school, you should have learned that when you have a whole number like this, you need to put it in fraction form. So anytime you have a whole number, you want to put it over 1. And then when you multiply fractions, you're going to multiply the numerator and then multiply the denominators. So I'm going to do 24 times 3 first. I don't know what that is off the top of my head, so I'm going to work that out. 3 times 4 is 12, carry the 1. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So that's 72. And then 1 times 4 is 4. And then I don't know what this is in mixed number form. You can either leave it in improper fraction form or you can divide it out and put it in mixed number form. So I'm going to actually do the division and see how many times 4 can go into 72. Well, 4 goes into 7 one time because I know 4 times 2 gives me 8, and that would be too many. So then that's 4. I subtract, and I get 3. Bring down the 2. And then 4 goes into 32. Well, I know 4 times 8 is 32, so it goes in there 8 times, which is 32. So that means that she had to have used 18 eggs. So Sue used 18 eggs if she used 3/4 of the ones that she used. And my answer makes sense because it's less than the total amount. And I know she didn't use all the eggs. She used only a portion of it. All right, number 8. All right, what is the value of the expression 3 times parentheses 8 times 2? So I'm doing 3 times parentheses 8 times 2. So you guys learned in elementary school about please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, which means I start with the parentheses and then I do the exponent, then I do multiplication and division from left to right, and then I do addition and subtraction from left to right. So in this problem, I've got some parentheses, so I have to do that first. So I have to start here and do 8 times 2, which is 16. And then I always bring down, I cross out what I did and bring down what I haven't done yet. So then the last step I need to do is 3 times 16, which I know gives me 48. So my final answer will be 48. All right, almost done. We're on to number 9. All right, number 9. Each of Morgan's 4 grandparents gave him 7 postcards for his collection. He already had 15 postcards. Which expression could be used to find the total number of postcards Morgan has in his collection? So I want to know which expression could be used to find the total number of postcards he has in his collection. So I've got to break this problem down. I've got to break this down here because I got to figure out, well, what did he have and what was he given? Well, I know he already had 15. And then he's got 4 grandparents who gave him 7 postcards each. So if he's got 4 grandparents who gave him 7 postcards each, that means each grandparent gave him 7 postcards. So if I were to show each gave him 7, I would have to show that as multiplication. It's got to be multiplication because he's got 7 cards that he's getting from each one of his grandparents. So he's getting 7 and then 7 again and then 7 again and then 7 again. And then the next thing it says that he already had 15. So that means that's going to be added into his total. So then he already had 15. So that means my expression has to show that the grandparents each gave him 7 and that he already had 15. So I'm going to look at my answer choices and I see, letter C matches what I worked on. 7 times 4 plus 15. All right, we're almost done. Last problem. All right, what is the sum of 1/6 plus 3/4? So now we're adding some fractions. So I'm adding 1/6 plus 3/4. When you add fractions, you have to have a common denominator. And right now, my denominators are different. They are not the same. I need them to be the same. So I need to find a common multiple, or I can just multiply these together, and then that gives me a common denominator as well. So when I think about the multiples of 4, they're 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. The multiples of 6 are 6, 12, 18, 24, and I see that they have the number 12 in common. So 12 becomes my common denominator. So now I need to see, well, how did I get from my denominator of 4 to my denominator of 12? Well, I had to multiply 4 by 3. And if I did that to the bottom of the fraction, I have to do it to the top. And 3 times 3 gives me 9. And then 6, how did I get from a denominator of 6 to 12? Well, I had to multiply 6 times 2 to get to 12. If I do that to the bottom of the fraction, I have to do that to the top, and 1 times 2 gives me 2. So now I have 2 12s plus 9 12s. When you're adding fractions, you add the numerators together, which would give me 11, and then the denominator stays the same. So it's going to remain a 12. So my answer would be 11 12ths. All right, I hope this video helped, and remember you can use it to help you with week 2 and week 3.